Get ready to be inspired by the people, stories, and opportunities in Africa. We're a global community of Africans and friends of Africa with no boundaries. Together, we celebrate the continent's successes and help provide solutions to some of its greatest challenges. Impact Africa airs live every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. GMT at listenvisionlive.com. You can also catch previous episodes on iTunes and on the show's website, impactafricaonline.com. Connect with Impact Africa on Twitter and Facebook at @UImpactAfrica. Together, we'll discover that the real Africa is full of amazing talents and great opportunities. Welcome to Impact Africa. Africa has long been associated with needing aid and handouts. Today, you'll learn so much more about this wonderful continent from enlightening stories, people, and ideas. Now, here is your host, Tope Fajingbesi.
Good morning and welcome to Impact Africa. It's really a delight to be here today and to unveil our new backdrop. I hope you like it, made from Adire fabric from Nigeria. And thank you to the nice tailor who made this and to Aramide, my sister, who got it for Impact Africa. It's a pleasure to be here back again today. And I want to say a special thank you to the Kick Ebola Out Foundation, KEO, for the very wonderful fundraising event that they had at the Marriott Marquis in DC yesterday. That was a very, very good initiative. They're going to be supporting Ebola eradication efforts in Sierra Leone, and especially in Sierra Leone especially, but indeed all of Africa. So it was really a pleasure to be there and to meet all the exciting Africans and friends of Africa who are trying to do something wonderful for the continent, public health-wise. So I hope you can still donate. If you didn't make it to the Marriott yesterday, you can go to keofoundation.org, keofoundation.org, Kick Ebola Out, and they're primarily working in Sierra Leone. So your support will be very appreciated. We have a very packed show today, but before I tell you about what the show is going to be like, I want to make a couple of announcements about some things that are happening that you should know about. Andela is holding an all-female boot camp to bring out young people who will be software developers. They're doing this in Nigeria. And if you're lucky, you can get a 4-year fellowship that will be paid, 4 years paid to learn how to be a software developer. They haven't had a lot of women apply, so they're very particular about having women on the program. And the deadline to apply for this is Friday, November 14th. So you just have about 5 days. You can apply at women.andela.co. Once again, that's women.andela.co. Also, the Diaspora Demo Day is on November 22nd. And this is going to be the biggest showcase of African talents and African startups, entrepreneurs that, have ever converged outside of the continent. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. at the World Bank. And you can register at diasporademoday.com. The tickets are really, really cheap. I have registered and the tickets are really cheap. This is a chance to not only meet the talented people from the continent and outside of the continent doing great things in Africa, but also a chance to network and meet people of like minds. So once again, that's diasporademoday.com, and the event is on November 22nd at 9 a.m. And the Maryland Governor's Commission on African Affairs is having its African Health Day on November 22nd. It's free. You can get free flu shots, and there will be talks about Ebola, domestic violence, and so many other things that affect us Africans. And it starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 3 p.m. at Duval High School in Lanham, Maryland. Once again, that's Duval High School in Lanham, Maryland. You can visit african.maryland.gov or email african@maryland.gov. or call 410-767-7925 for more information. So I hope we'll get ourselves those opportunities. And like I said, it's going to be a packed show today. We'll be starting up with African food. And, you can't talk about African culture without talking about African food. Think about it. There was just so much noise, and the whole continent almost blew up Twitter just because Jamie Oliver decided to spin, jollof rice. But there's also a very healthy part of, talking about African food. in the past, our grandparents lived long because they ate, our food. But somehow these days, you can hardly talk about African food without talking about, health risk, obesity, just the fat content, high cholesterol. Is that what has changed? Is that really a problem? How can we make our food, culture stay relevant today? We'll be talking to a lawyer turned cordon bleu trained chef, Ify Nzeka. She will be joining me on the show in a couple of minutes, and we'll discuss everything from the healthy, to the forgotten foods and how to enjoy African food in diaspora. You don't want to miss that. We would also be joined by Debo Folorunso, one of the co-founders of Applause magazine, and he will be talking about the African Diaspora Awards coming up in New York City next week, November 15th. Don't go away. But right now, I want you to enjoy this very nice music video that is a collaboration by so many African artists, and it's called Rise Up Africa. Don't go away.
Alelele mama, mama la la lelele. Oh, take it for Africa, do it for Africa. Mama lelele, oh lelele mama, oh take it for Africa. Oh, you rise up and stand up for Africa.
See the whole world be looking at us, yeah. 'Cause our land is honey, all the future money. And see Akijima. No, Asilali. See Atsandi Mali. They want it, yo. They need it, man. We have it, yes. Let the world come and taste this beautiful land. They want it, oh. They need it, yeah. We have it, let the world come and taste this beautiful land now.
To be a part of this continent. All your sisters and your brothers and your friends, let's get together, let's hold hands and let us dance. Let's unite and give ourselves another chance. I see the walk out for road, you will see many things, everything, the apple, people, the jolly. Oh yeah, now let Africa do good. And if the sun or the rain or the sweet or the pain, we still get together. Because let Africa do good. Oh, Nelson Mandela, Lupita Nyong'o, oh Desmond Tutu, African immigrants, oh Barack Obama, Kwame Nkrumah, all my freedom fighters, African immigrants.
You know what time it is? Let's go, come on. Africa stand up, everybody move, make a see your hands up. We came a long way, so now we can't stop. Free for life, we're taking off the handcuffs. We came to spend love through the sea breeze. Natural, mama Africa, we need peace. Home sweet home, everybody for feel free. Check my people and check the beauty. Be my duty. We're trying to make it a better place for us, and I believe it's gonna happen in God we trust. Straight from the bottom all the way up to top. Up to Fasai, it shall come to pass. Amen. From dust to grass, from grass to grace. But it's left to us to make it happen on a daily basis. Back to back, Africa stand for peace. Let's face the fact.
Tanzania, asante Nyerere baba, tunajivunia upendo wetu na amani, tena pia Mugabe bendera baba, tunajivunia upendo wetu na amani, tumejaliwa mengi, utano mengi, majengo malema mbuga pampita yetu, tazama mengi, utano mengi, pampita milima mbuga pampita yetu.
You are listening to Impact Africa. To connect with the program, please call 1-443-499-2755. That's 1-443-499-2755. You may also send an email to info@impactafricaonline.com or tweet @UImpactAfrica. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to Impact Africa, and that was Rise Up by a couple of African artists, including Davido, Tiwa Savage, Lola Ray, and so many more. You can find the video on YouTube. So I'm back, and my guest is Chef Ify Nzeka, and she's the owner of eatingnigerian.com, and she's originally a lawyer, but she decided to, take some passion that many people have seriously, and she's now a chef, taking pictures, cooking food, making videos, and trying to make African food culture relevant today. Ify, welcome to Impact Africa.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, fantastic. So now explain this to me. So yeah, when we're all growing up in Nigeria or in other parts of Africa, yes, we used to cook. But how does somebody go from law school, 7 years as a lawyer, and then now to cooking? How did that happen?
You know how it is when you're, or how it was then. I think that with time, parents are becoming a bit more, enlightened and basically let their children do what they want. But
yes.
At our time, it was basically, you're going to university. What course can you do? It wasn't really about what does this child really like to do. It's a case of, everybody's doing law, everybody's doing this. Okay. So you basically find yourself doing what is in or what everybody else is doing. But, looking back now, I realized that, what did I excel in? What did I have my A's in secondary school? It was food and nutrition, biology, Yeah. When I was doing my practicals, food and nutrition practicals for SSC, everybody else was making egusi. I was there busy pounding afang for afang soup, So, and then I found myself doing law, and I still love to cook. I'll get home for holidays from school, and, my father will say, if you make that for me, and I just loved going to the market and being able to pick what I want and come back home and cook. So I already had that passion. And then after university, you have this gap here where you have to wait to go to law school. It all started coming together, and I just felt like this is really what I want to do, And I told my parents, and really they supported me. So literally, I was walking out of law school and onto a plane to culinary school.
Oh my goodness! You know what? I have to say that your parents, they're just amazing, because after 7 years of law school, and you say you're on your way to culinary school, that is something. But let me ask you though, because I've read your blog, and I have seen some of the things that you've done, and I see that your emphasis really is on African food, Nigerian food to be specific. But you decided to go to become a cordon bleu trained chef. How did that? How does that relate to your passion for African food, and how did that affect the kind of spin that you bring into African food?
Yeah, basically, when at that time when I was going to culinary school, I wasn't thinking, you have this ideology of, okay, you're going for a cordon bleu diploma, so you're going to, open a fine dining restaurant, you're going to do all these things, So, I went to cooking school, and then when I came out, I think it was the experience I had along the way after, because the culinary school right now, I see it as what it is. It was a foundation for me, and it opened me to all these flavors and, different cooking techniques and things like that, But, coming out and then now going back home in Lagos, where I worked as a food and beverage manager, I started seeing like different sides of cooking, I had the opportunity to relate to outgoing women, to see different types of cooks make Nigerian food in different ways. And, it sort of like started, and I realized how much I think it was really what really formed my great love for Nigerian food, I would say, was in the past 3 years when I worked as a general manager for a catering company that manages the food for expatriates and some Nigerians, like the senior managers and directors of a fast-moving consumer goods company. And, you know, it was fascinating how we would see the expatriates amongst them leaving basmati rice, leaving rice and coming to the African section. Every day we'll set up lunch for them, and then they would leave their own food and come towards our own food and take ofada rice. And,
Wow.
you know, yeah, they would take ofada rice, take vegetables, you know, they would take yam, you know, so it was really that. And then even when they're having parties, they were not going to do like a foreign starter. Even if they were going to do a foreign starter, they would always ask for pepper soup. They would ask for goat meat pepper soup.
And I can imagine, I can relate with them asking for pepper soup, because I'll take pepper soup any day, anytime. But you know, you bring up a very interesting point. And there's, of course, the whole Twitter almost shut down because of Jollof Gate, because Africans were kind of many people were offended by the twist that the British chef Jamie Oliver put on jollof rice. You know, people felt like it was sacred and the rice didn't look like jollof rice anymore. But here you are talking about, you know, people are very curious about our food and they like it in the original content, because I don't think you all were changing it to look like, you know, the jollof rice that we saw that Jamie Oliver did. But let me ask you though, as a chef, what do you think about, you know, that spin that he put on jollof rice?
When I saw the picture, because I saw the picture first before going to read, you know, the recipe. When I saw the picture and a lot of people were making a big fuss about it, I looked at it and I was like, there's nothing wrong with this. Why? Because, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, the rice is underneath. If you go back and look at the picture, you would see that the rice is underneath. He's topped it with chicken. He's put the tomatoes on the top. And he has sprinkled even more fresh parsley onto that picture. So I was like, oh, okay, the rice is underneath. It's covered. The rice actually looks covered.
But then that's not jollof rice anymore.
Yes. No, it's sort of like garnished, you know?
No.
To be honest, I honestly didn't see anything wrong with it. So I went and read the recipe. And there still wasn't an issue with the recipe. The only thing that seemed out of place was the lemon, you know. And then I read it through.
See, now you're talking. You're talking.
And then I read it through, and then I saw he said garnish with the lemon for drizzling over, you know, something like that, or drizzling over. So it's optional. It's like when they put a piece of lemon by your fish. You know, I just leave it out. You know, I don't sprinkle it on I don't drizzle it on my fish. So I decided to make it. You know, so after all I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I wasn't seeing anything wrong with it, but so many other people were like, oh, what's this? You know, on Twitter, I was like, is this a joke or something?
No, but wait, when you made it, did it really taste like Ghana High Commission jollof rice?
It's like, if you read my blog on that particular, it tasted more like my mother's jollof rice. You know, you're not gonna get, you know, that, you know, party rice, going cooking kind of rice.
Oh.
But it just reminded me of going home on a Sunday afternoon and my mother made jollof rice and she serves it to me. Like if I was blindfolded and I was giving that rice to eat, I would totally say it's jollof rice.
Okay, well, now I kind of see your bias as a chef, and you know, but that if they blindfolded me and I tasted the lemon first, I would not think it was my mother's jollof rice. But let me ask you. Let me take you to another topic now. One very fascinating thing, you know, that you talked about when we were chatting about this show, was that your appeal isn't to look out as, not to be in chef uniform and to look like just one chef that is, you know, a cordon bleu trained chef. That you wanted your picture to show just a regular African girl cooking African food. I found that very fascinating, and I'm hoping that people can relate with that. And when you come out with so many other things that is, I believe is coming up from eatingnigerian.com, that people can relate to that. I'm hoping that there will be videos coming up and to train people how to cook in their kitchens and to enjoy African food. So we're looking forward to a lot of that from you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about African food. So in the past, people talked about, our parents, our grandparents, they ate this African food and they lived well. They weren't obese. They weren't unhealthy. But now, this generation, it's like you talk about African food and the first thing you think about is fear, because there is a high level of cholesterol. There's so much unhealthful part in the African food. Is African food really unhealthy? And I want to pull up that picture again of the bean cakes side by side. I had that picture up a couple of, yes, that's the picture. So can you talk about African food and is it really unhealthy? And can we eat the African food and have the same taste, but have it maybe a bit more healthy?
Well, I would say that, it's a misconception. I think that all that African food is unhealthy, like relating it to Nigerian food, which is what, I'm more conversant with it. I think that misconception is about palm oil, because we use a lot of palm oil in our cooking. People assume, okay, it's not healthy for you. But the truth about it is palm oil is actually good for you. It's actually very healthy in its unrefined state. So, what we know as palm oil is the real deal. That's palm oil. But, it's funny when maybe you pick up a packaged food, for example, like a baked good, like a biscuit, and then you look at the ingredients list and then you find palm oil in the ingredients list, and you're trying to relate that palm oil that the red palm oil we use in cooking,
yes,
to palm oil being an ingredient in this biscuit. So you can sort of like understand the process that it would have taken, to be in the biscuit. And that's what takes it from being unhealthy to being healthy. I mean, our grandparents would eat palm oil in their own fine state. They'll pluck fresh vegetables from their farms and from their gardens.
And I want to, let me stop for a second. I want to keep that picture of Akara up again. The picture, I want to keep it up, because I want people to, while we're talking about healthy food, I want people to, look at that difference before we talk about it. So yes, that's the picture. So please keep going.
Okay. So basically, I don't think our food is unhealthy. Like, really, what makes me put on weight is not the Nigerian food that I eat. I think what makes me put on weight is the processed things I eat, the packaged biscuits, the candies, the sweet things, the creamy things, not necessarily like vegetable soup and, like pounded yam. No.
We will want to believe, but I want to, the picture I have up right now is a picture of Akara. Akara is, and I don't know if there's an English word for it, but it's traditional Saturday morning food in many Nigerian homes. And on the left side of the screen, it's deep fried. And on the right side, which looks like pancake, is actually, with very little oil.
Pan-fried. Yeah.
Pan-fried. So, can you tell us a little bit about this? And, how, in essence, you're saying that you can still continue to enjoy akara, the same taste of akara, but it doesn't have to be deep fried. Is that the message here?
Well, the message is that, yes, although the deep fried one definitely tastes better, I wouldn't lie. I think I'll continue to eat mine deep fried. But of course, the pan-fried version works. So, in other words, you want to eat akara and you're like, oh my God, I'd rather not have all that oil in my food. You can pan-fry it, the way that I did. So, as I was deep frying, I just pan-fried a few, and it totally worked. Like, I just lowered the heat and, but it's not you get the same beans taste, but of course it's not the same. Like the deep fried akara was like crispier, and the other one was more like cooked, taste, So, yes, of course, you can do like healthier African meals, but I wouldn't like touch those ones that, you know, to touch it will mean to take away from it rather than adding. So, for
Okay.
example, I think that it would be sacrilege to try to cook
Yes.
a soup or ogbono without palm oil.
And I think we have a caller here who wants to weigh in on this topic. Ruka Salami, are you there? Okay, I think we lost her. She might call back, and because I know her, she's a friend of the show, and she also enjoys African food. But before if she calls back, before we get her back, let's talk about. So now it's easy to get African food in its unrefined state in Nigeria, in Lagos, but it's not the same thing when we're here in America. But you are here now, and how do we? It's very important that we pass on the food culture to our kids and to other people as well. To share that culture with other people. What are some of the best tips that you have for parents to ensure that the African food culture doesn't die?
Well, one thing I noticed in particular when I got here was, of course, how expensive it is to get some of the African or Nigerian food or some of African food, because you have to go to an African store and those things are kind of like brought in from Africa. So you pick up a bottle of palm oil and it's like $15 and you're like, oh my God, like, I mean, this thing should not be more than like 500 naira. So that really hits me, the fact that things are a little more expensive. But with time, I realized that I can take advantage of what is easily accessible. Like I got here and I haven't really been eating, like any other kind of swallow, but oats, oats is very easily available here, so it's healthy. So we do like oats with chai seeds. I put that in the blender and I blend oats with chai seeds. And my daughter actually loves that, oats with chai seeds, and I give her with, like okra soup or, swallow. And then the other day, I was like, somebody brought me some crayfish from Nigeria and I started to run out, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to go and buy it so expensive in the African store? But I started, checking online to see if it would be easy to get. And I realized that they actually have the very fresh ones. Like, I think in Louisiana also, they grow a lot of crayfish, so I can actually get it fresh. So I'm looking at in the next 1 or 2 weeks, trying to order some fresh crayfish, because I haven't, every type of crayfish I've ever seen, it's been dried crayfish we see now. I've never seen crayfish fresh. So I'm actually looking forward to ordering fresh crayfish and seeing how it looks like and seeing if I'm going to be able to use that in my cooking,
Okay. Ify, let's, I think we have our caller back on the line. Let's let her weigh in. Hello, are you back, Ruka?
Hi, everyone.
Yes, hello.
For having me. I'm just going to make it quick. Actually, akara is bean cake. That's the
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was just our own. If it was just the Nigerian English name or if it was a universal.
Well, I guess if we're going to market it internationally, that's really the name that we would call it. If it's doing what I really would want to do, I'm a foodie. I love food a lot, and I think it's amazing that you actually took the initiative to make your dreams come true. I've been dreaming of becoming a culinary chef myself, but I haven't been able to actualize that dream.
And what do you do currently? What do you do currently?
Oh, I'm a physician.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And a very food-loving physician, actually. So what I really wanted to talk about was just the health. I wanted to give my input on health perspective with regards to African food. So we do kind of have a balance of the unhealthy food. Palm oil is actually very sketchy, we also eat a lot of carbohydrates. And you know what carbs is? It helps you put on weight. However, we eat a lot of vegetables and raw fish as well, and that is very healthy. The reason why our elders or our parents were able to keep it together is because if you look at the average African, they're very active. But now what we have today are modernized Africans. So my take on it is if you like your food, then you really have to get up on your feet and be active.
Yeah. And I think you make a very interesting point. And what happened to me, because I count calories, and this week I was just I wanted to have lunch in maybe just 400, 500 calories, and just by switching the portion of the spinach soup, the eforiro, with the brown rice, I switched the portion, so it was less rice and more vegetables. Yeah. And I was able to keep my lunch under 450 calories that day, just because I had more spinach, and which is also African food, but I just had less brown rice. So I guess that's what we have to do.
We eat a lot of vegetables, and that is really good. It's just we kind of have to eat the carbs in moderation. Especially the older you get, you want to keep it simple. There's actually a book written by Dr. Lara Adejumo. She kind of has a mix of recipes. It's called Healthy Eating for the African.
Yes.
So I think what she did was because, Africans like their food. However, people, like you mentioned earlier, we have our fears about what it does to our systems. She's kind of written a book that kind of modifies, gives ideas as to how to eat healthy as an African. And I think it's probably on Amazon. You can look it up.
Yes, it is on Amazon.
And the chef can also put her blessings on it. And probably, on your blog, if you look through it, you can help us to modify it and tell us how we can, make it a bit more, give it a bit more what we call frou-frou-chou-chou,
Well, wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I have read that book.
One more thing, please let us know, do you think the African food can go international like the Thai and the Chinese food?
Okay. All right. And that's definitely a segue into my next question for Ify. But thank you so much for calling, Rukaya. We really enjoyed your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So do you think the African food can go international?
Totally. I think that it can totally go international. Lately, I've even been more convinced about it because as my photography got better, I started posting to international food sharing sites. And it's amazing how interested people are, about our food. It's amazing the amount of traffic I get from those food sharing sites. I actually get more people clicking through my website than even from back home. I guess, with time that will probably be better. But, the truth about it is that we could, I think, there's this thing about our food in terms of not being able to get some certain ingredients to make our food. But I think that, it's easy to substitute, and that's what I want to sort of make clear in my website. And then, people also eat with their eyes first. So I think the photography would also help help them see our food in a good light, so as they see our food, they get interested in the food, and then they try to, over time, I've been, doing a lot of research, and I guess we make our food seem, okay, there's no, you just place the amala there, put the waiter on top.
We have to make it look appealing. And I think the challenge for chefs, especially African trained chefs, is to make sure that the food is visually appealing, but also make it look African. When the picture of the okra soup that we had on the screen a minute ago, and I will get that picture back on the screen. The picture, yes, this is the okra soup. I look at it and make no mistake about it. I can see that it's African food, but I want to see that African food looks like African food. I don't want to see Jamie Oliver's jollof rice because that doesn't look like African food. So even though we want our food to go global, we want our food to be international, but we want to keep the authenticity, what makes it African. We want to keep it there. And, before I let you go, I have just one question. We have about 30 seconds left. I have one question, and that question is about what are some of the foods that are getting extinct, and how will you get them back?
I've been picking my mom's brain a lot lately, so try to get her to remember some of the food of her childhood, and like I had talked about the mushrooms and so many different things, like I remember when I used to go, to spend Christmas with my grandparents, which is also something I'm going to talk about in December, and then there used to be, I would go there and there's this water, I've got nothing on our ancestors, to be honest. There was this water that was like smoky, so they take uga, and then they burn it and then they put a pot over it, and then it's like flavored water, but it's flavored with smoke and spice, and I would rather drink that. Every time I went for Christmas, like I wanted that water. I didn't want ordinary water, and it was flavored with smoke and spice, and it was so nice, The only thing our ancestors didn't do was to put it in a bottle,
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's why, if I don't do that, if I don't start trying to do that, my children are going to forget all those things, those experiences that we had growing up,
And we have to bring those back. And I'm hoping that, we can get that back on at least eatingnigerian.com. I'm looking forward to seeing at least pictures and maybe recipes or something about the water that you just described and so many other things that we have in Africa. I want to thank you so much for joining me on the show today. And I'm looking forward to partnering with eatingnigerian.com to bring videos and pictures of more of African food back to the forefront. And you can follow Chef Ify at Ify Nzeka, and she's on Twitter. And you can also go to her website, eatingnigerian.com. We would be giving you more details about this wonderful, talented chef. And Ify, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll be right back after this brief break.
This is where I live.
Get ready to be
And that's how it looks
inspired
to
by
lions
the
when they
people,
come at night.
stories, and opportunities in Africa. We're a global community of Africans and friends of Africa with no boundaries. Together, we celebrate the continent's successes and help provide solutions to some of its greatest challenges. Impact Africa airs live every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. GMT at listenvisionlive.com. You can also catch previous episodes on iTunes and on the show's website, impactafricaonline.com. Connect with Impact Africa on Twitter and Facebook at @UImpactAfrica. Together, we'll discover that the real Africa is full of amazing talents and great opportunities. You are listening to Impact Africa. To connect with the program, please call 1-443-499-2755. That's Get ready to be inspired by the people, stories, and opportunities in Africa. We're a global community of Africans and friends of Africa with no boundaries. Together, we celebrate the continent's successes and help provide solutions to some of its greatest challenges. Impact Africa airs live every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. GMT at listenvisionlive.com. You can also catch previous episodes on iTunes and on the show's website, impactafricaonline.com. Connect with Impact Africa on Twitter and Facebook at @UImpactAfrica. Together, we'll discover that the real... You are listening to Impact Africa. To connect with the program, please call 1-443-499-2755. That's 1-443-499-2755.
Welcome back to Impact Africa. And That was a very nice session with Chef Ify. And right now I have Debo Folorunso, one of the co-founders of Applause Africa magazine. And Applause Africa is fulfilling a very specific need of Africans in diaspora, originally started in Nigeria in 2000. It is a lifestyle magazine that focuses on people, cultures, and our successes. The magazine is holding its Africa Diaspora Awards at the Lincoln Center in New York on November 15th at 6 p.m. So Debo and I will be talking a little bit about this today. Debo, welcome to Impact Africa.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what is the goal of the Africa Diaspora Awards, really?
The goal of the Diaspora Award is it's for us to celebrate ourselves. We Africans living in diaspora, more often we always celebrate people that have not that are not of any heritage from Africa. We always celebrate people like Obama, Kardashian, and all that. But this is a platform for us to celebrate ourselves. We strongly believe that it is important for us to celebrate leaders of today in order to inspire leaders of tomorrow. So we believe Africans and diaspora need to be celebrated as well. So that's why we've been committing our time, energy, and resources to identify and celebrate Africans who have made significant difference in the African community here in the U.S. and also on the continent.
That's very interesting. I think I really applaud that. This is the 4th edition of the awards ceremony. And if the goal has been to inspire people, so have you seen some of the dividends of this, or is this still too short to see how many people have been inspired? And, what have people taken away from these awards that you've seen? Are there some success stories?
Oh, wow. We have a lot of success stories. When we started in 2011, the first set of people that we inspire, the first set of people that we honored are doing so well today. We honor Sarah Jones when she was starting up this Africa, just for us to encourage her and to say, hey, we Africans in diaspora are behind you, and whatever you needed, we'll be able to support you with it. So we had brought attention on our organization, Space Africa, and today see where it is. The second set of people are Lola Ogunaike from Arise TV. He had went from being on Arise online to have our own program on Centric TV, Centric and BET. Angelikijo, Benga Kinagbe, Tony Okunagbe. Those are 2012 set. And 2013, we brought in Nobel laureate Lima Gbu from Liberia to inspire the youth of today. And also, Chinedu Egwawa. Chinedu was the one that did the Upstop. A lot of people use Upstop without knowing that it's a Nigerian that built that app, that application. So those are sort of stories that we have, and those stories that inspired a lot of people from the diaspora as well, for them to be able to commit to something bigger than them. So those are success stories, and the track records are there, the testimonies are there that, these are, credible people.
That's interesting. And I really, I think that's really great. And you've mentioned people that I know and definitely love their work. So we're grateful that you're doing this, because I'm sure it's not a very small effort. Let's talk a little bit about this year's honorees. Who are some of the people that you're honoring this year, and why are they being honored?
This year honorees, what can I say about that? This year honorees have been, we have Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly, he's from Tanzania. he had built a portable charger that the product, his product is just phenomenal. It's not just for Africans in the diaspora and but a global product, and it's doing well with the charger. Also, we're recognizing Dr. Olajide Williams. Olajide Williams was the guy that is helping kids in Harlem, kids in the U.S. generally, to help them lose weight through dance. He's a neurosurgeon from Columbia University. We're honoring Sama Rai, who has a network of great African women and bringing them together, networking them. Those are a few people that we're honoring this year. If I should continue, we have Kemi Adepiba for Creative Person of the Year. So many of them. Benedict Palo from African Society, and they keep going on. They're just phenomenal people. If you check out their work as great work.
Fantastic. And, I can definitely talk about Diaspora African Women Network because I'm a member of DAWN. And I think that's that's a very amazing organization. I joined DAWN less than 2 years ago, and I've found it absolutely phenomenal. So I'm very glad that you're honoring Semhar. She definitely deserves it because DAWN is a very, very wonderful platform for African women that are here in the diaspora. In the US, Australia, London, wherever you are, I think you should definitely be a part of DAWN. And I've had donors on this show as well. It's definitely a home for them. So great job with that. So, yes, it's going to be inspiring. We're going to see all these people who are doing amazing stuff. But what should attendees expect apart from, being inspired by these honorees? What kind of entertainment do you have lined up, and what kind of show are we expecting on Saturday?
Yeah, the show, the award itself, we always want to give honor to honor and just not to. There will be a lot of entertainment, but at the same time, we want people to share their story. We want all these honorees come on the stage and share their story and share how they've been able to impact the community. You just mentioned, Samai, that you're part of the DAWN, and this is like Samai is a community organizer with an extensive grassroots and leadership experience working in the community in the diaspora. And I think people want to hear her story. People want to hear her ups and downs and how she's able to pull all these great women together and be able to network them. So in terms of entertainment, we have Somi performing. We have Sheishe from Nigeria. She came last week, so she's in the US now. She'll be performing, and we also have Sai from Fela on Broadway. He will be performing with his group as well.
That's and I think it's going to be exciting. At least one of the reasons why I know it's going to be an exciting show is because one of the co-hosts, I know her very well, Ify Nzeka. She's talented. She's funny. She's smart. She's when I read the press release that she's one of the co-hosts, I said it's going to be an inspiring and very entertaining evening. So I'm very excited. I think people should look forward to that. Well, so if I want to come, or if somebody wants to come, how do they get tickets, and what do they need to do, or is this by invitation only?
Oh no, the tickets it's by ticket, or you have to be invited by any of the members of the board of trustees. So the ticket is open for the public to buy. The website is AfricanDiasporaAwards.com, AfricanDiasporaAwards.com. Okay. Or if you go to ApplauseAfrica.com, you can have a link to buy the ticket, and there are several banners talking about the award, and you can click to get your ticket at the Eventbrite.
Okay, and this is next week, Saturday, November 15. Red carpet starts at 6 p.m. and the event itself starts at 7 p.m. and is at the Lincoln Center in New York City, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. I really wish you a very excellent event on Saturday, and I hope people leave there very inspired and very happy and willing to do something to improve the continent. Well done to the Applause team, and I hope you continue to put up this kind of events in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tope.
Yes, thank you.
So much. We hope to see you as well.
Thank you very much.
From Impact Africa.
Thank you very much. I really look forward to it.
Okay.
And so that was Debo Folorunso, one of the co-founders of Applause magazine, and the Applause Africa Diaspora Awards is going to be next Saturday at the Lincoln Center in New York City. You have to be there. You must be there. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very inspiring. And at least I know E.B. Bassi, you've never seen a hostess like her before. She's absolutely phenomenal. So to recap on some of the things that we talked about on today's show, and I'm hoping that we can follow up on how to eat healthy as Nigerians. So you can follow Chef Ify at eatingnigerian.com. She has a lot planned for those of us who like to cook in our kitchens, who don't necessarily like to eat out and order food outside, but just want to do something, with African food. How do we eat to live? And how do we eat like our ancestors did and eat well, enjoy African food? So eatingnigerian.com. And I want to quickly make some announcements, which I made at the beginning of the show, in case you missed it. Andela, that's Andela, is holding an all-female boot camp to find bright young people in Nigeria to become software developers. This could lead to a 4-year fellowship that will be paid, to get a skill that will be yours for a lifetime to be a software developer. Deadline to apply for the bootcamp is Friday, November 14th, and you can apply at women.andela.co. women.andela.co. The Diaspora Demo Day is on November 22nd at the World Bank. It's a showcase of the best African entrepreneurs and startups you've ever seen. It's going to be the biggest gathering of the best of African talents outside of the continent. You don't want to miss this one. It's at 9 a.m. and you can register at diasporademoday.com. Then finally, the Maryland Governor's Commission on African Affairs on November 22nd, they'll be having a health fair. It's free to attend. You can get free flu shots, health screenings, Ebola awareness, and domestic violence and other issues will be addressed. It starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 3 p.m. at Duval High School in Lanham, Maryland. You can visit african.maryland.gov, email african@maryland.gov, or call 410-767-7925 for more information. I hope you will, get familiar with some of these events and get connected with the continent, even if you're living outside of the continent. That's been the show today. I really thank you so much for joining me. And I'm hoping to be back next week, Sunday, with a very special guest who is behind the Diaspora Demo Day. Let's talk about technology, African startups, and entrepreneurship. You don't want to miss that one. But until next week, Sunday, please keep impacting Africa however you can. Good morning.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Africa. Please join us again next Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. GMT at listenvisionlive.com. Have a good week and keep impacting Africa.